English Daily. Help you grow every day. Listen, learn, and improve.
Hey there, and welcome back to the English podcast, your space for slow, clear English conversations that do more than just improve your speaking. Here, we grow together, in language and in life. I'm Aaron, and today, we're diving deep, deeper than grammar, deeper than vocabulary. We're going to talk about something we all struggle with, quietly, daily, even secretly, bad habits, the habits that hold us back, that keep us scrolling when we want to study, that keep us silent when we want to speak, that make us say, "Why did I do that again?" Sound familiar? You're not alone. Whether it's procrastination, phone addiction, skipping English practice, late night snacking, or negative thinking, bad habits affect all of us. Not because we're weak, but because we're wired that way. And today, we're not here to judge. We're here to understand. Because when you understand a habit, you take away its power. This episode will guide you gently, step by step, through the science, the psychology, and the practice of breaking bad habits. And don't worry, you won't need any fancy apps, strict routines, or superhuman motivation. You just need a little awareness, a little curiosity, and a voice, your own voice, speaking one sentence at a time. What you'll learn in this episode: why bad habits form, what your brain is actually doing, how to notice the habit loop in your daily life, why willpower isn't the answer, the simple truth about breaking habits, how to build better routines using identity-based change, and most importantly, how to grow gently, not perfectly. You'll also hear real-life stories, relatable struggles, and soft but powerful tools to support both your English and your mindset. If you're new here, welcome. Part 2, why we build bad habits, and why it's not your fault. All right, let's start with a question that many of us ask ourselves, quietly, painfully, again and again. Why do I keep doing this? Why do we keep scrolling when we promise to study? Why do we put off that conversation, that workout, that goal, even when we know it matters? The answer, my friend, lies not in laziness, but in biology. Let me explain. The habit loop, your brain's favorite shortcut. Every time you repeat a behavior, any behavior, your brain takes note. It says, this again. I know this path. And the more you repeat it, the deeper that path becomes. Imagine walking through tall grass. The first time, it's hard. The grass pushes back. But after 10, 20, 50 times, you've made a trail, a shortcut. That's exactly what habits are. Mental shortcuts, designed by your brain to save energy. Your brain loves efficiency. It's constantly scanning your environment, asking, what's familiar? What's easy? What feels safe? And once it finds an answer, it repeats it. Even if that habit is no longer helpful. You open Instagram, you laugh at a reel, you feel better. Your brain records that. Stress to scroll to relief. That's a habit loop. It doesn't matter if the relief only lasts a minute, or if the scrolling turns into 45 minutes of doom. What matters is, your brain got a reward. And here's the key. Your brain doesn't care if something is good or bad. It only cares if it's familiar, if it works, even just for a moment. That's why we end up repeating things we swore we wouldn't. Cue to routine. To reward, the 3-step habit loop. This is the foundation of all habits. Good or bad? Let's break it down. QA trigger. something you see, feel, hear, think. Example, feeling bored, stressed, or lonely. Routine, the action, what you do. Example, open your phone. Snack, avoid English practice. Reward the result, what you get. Example, a small hit of dopamine. Distraction, comfort. The problem is not the cue, or even the reward. The real issue is that we've practiced the same routine so many times. It becomes automatic. But here's the powerful truth. What is learned can be unlearned. Real example, my and her phone before practice habit. Let me tell you a quick story about one of our listeners.
Mais,
A young woman learning English from Hanoi. Every night.
mais promise d'herself.
Tonight, I'll shadow 5 minutes of podcast. She meant it. She wanted it. But each time she sat down, something happened. She reached for her phone, just to check one thing. One video, then another. And before she knew it, it was midnight. No English practice. Again. First, she blamed herself. Why am I like this? I'm so weak. But after listening to this podcast, she realized something powerful. It wasn't weakness. It was a well-practiced pattern, a habit loop. The cue was the quiet moment after dinner. The routine was opening her phone. The reward was momentary escape. So what did she do? She didn't fight the habit. She redesigned it. Now, when she finishes dinner, she says this sentence out loud. Phone in hand. Speak instead. She opens her voice recorder and speaks one line from this podcast. Not for perfection, just for practice. That small switch from consuming to creating changed everything. You can't just stop a habit. You have to replace it. This is where most people go wrong. They say, I'll stop snacking. I'll quit scrolling. I'll never skip practice again. And maybe it works for a day or two, but eventually you fall back. Why? Because the brain hates empty space. You remove the behavior, but didn't replace it. Now your brain is confused, uncomfortable, and craving relief, so it returns to what it knows. That's why the golden rule is this. Don't just delete the habit. Design a new one. Designing your replacement loop. Let's say your old loop looks like this. Cue. Feeling stressed to. Routine. Scroll Instagram to. Reward. Escape now, we gently rewrite it. New routine instead of scrolling. Listen to 3 minutes of English, one sentence out loud. Record a voice note. Stretch. Breathe. Shadow a line. Same cue. Same reward. Different routine. That's how transformation begins. Micro tip for you: next time your hand reaches for your phone, pause and say, phone in hand. Speak instead. Open your voice recorder. Say one thing out loud in English. Today I feel. This podcast is about. My habit is. You don't need to send it. Just speak. That moment rewires your brain. Not by force, but by redirection. You see, breaking bad habits isn't about punishment. It's about creating new patterns that feel safe, kind, and familiar. It's not about fighting your brain. It's about teaching it something better. In the next part of this episode, we'll explore the power of timing, why 5 minutes matter more than motivation, what to do when you don't feel like it, and how momentum, not discipline, is your secret weapon. Remember, you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're just human, and humans learn. That's what you're doing right now. So far, we've talked about why we build bad habits, and why breaking them is not about being strong or weak, but about understanding the loops we've trained our brain to follow. Now it's time to talk about something that frustrates so many of us. Motivation. You've felt it before. Maybe after watching a TED Talk. After listening to the first part of this podcast. You get that sudden rush. That feeling of yes, I'm ready to change. You clean your room. You start journaling. You study English for 30 minutes. But then, day 2, you're tired. Day 3, you're bored. Day 4, you forget. And suddenly, that wave of motivation is gone. So here's the question. If motivation doesn't last, what does? Many people believe, I need motivation to start. I need willpower to keep going. But science and real life tells a different story. Motivation is unreliable. It's emotional, temporary, like a weather forecast. Sometimes it's sunny. You feel excited, ready. Other times, it rains. You feel heavy, lost, flat. But habits, they're built in the storm. So what actually builds habits? Identity and action. Let me tell you something powerful. Write this down if you can. Seriously, you don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your systems. Think about it. A motivated person might say, I want to learn English, but what does that actually look like? A system says, every morning at 8 a.m., I shadow one sentence before checking my phone. The difference? Motivation is what you feel. A system is what you do. Even when you don't feel like it. Instead of asking, what do I want to achieve? Ask this instead. Who do I want to become? Let me show you the difference. Old mindset, goal-based. I want to practice English every day. I want to stop procrastinating. New mindset, identity-based. I'm the kind of person who speaks English every day. I'm becoming someone who shows up even when it's hard. Do you feel the shift? When you change your identity, your actions follow naturally, even on the days when you're not motivated. So far, we've talked about why we build bad habits, and why breaking them is not about being strong or weak, but about understanding the loops we've trained our brain to follow. Now it's time to talk about something that frustrates so many of us. Motivation. You've felt it before. Maybe after watching a TED Talk. After listening to the first part of this podcast. You get that sudden rush. That feeling of yes, I'm ready to change. You clean your room. You start journaling. You study English for 30 minutes. But then, day 2, you're tired. Day 3, you're bored. Day 4, you forget. And suddenly, that wave of motivation is gone. So here's the question. If motivation doesn't last, what does? Many people believe, I need motivation to start. I need willpower to keep going. But science and real life tells a different story. Motivation is unreliable. It's emotional, temporary, like a weather forecast. Sometimes it's sunny. You feel excited, ready. Other times, it rains. You feel heavy, lost, flat. But habits, they're built in the storm. So what actually builds habits? Identity and action. Let me tell you something powerful. Write this down if you can. Seriously, you don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your systems. Think about it. A motivated person might say, I want to learn English, but what does that actually look like? A system says, every morning at 8 a.m., I shadow one sentence before checking my phone. The difference? Motivation is what you feel. A system is what you do. Even when you don't feel like it. Instead of asking, What do I want to achieve? Ask this instead. Who do I want to become? Let me show you the difference. Old mindset, goal-based. I want to practice English every day. I want to stop procrastinating. New mindset, identity-based. I'm the kind of person who speaks English every day. I'm becoming someone who shows up even when it's hard. Do you feel the shift? When you change your identity, your actions follow naturally, even on the days when you're not motivated. Let me ask you something. When you try to quit a bad habit, do you tell yourself, I'm trying to stop. I'm working on it. Maybe I'll be better next week.
Sounds familiar.
Here's the problem. Those words come from someone who still sees themselves as the old version. Someone who is trying to change, but hasn't become the change. That's where identity comes in. Behavior follows belief. You don't need to try harder. You need to believe differently. Let me explain. There are 3 levels of habit change. Outcome-based. I want to lose weight. Process-based. I'll go to the gym 3 times a week. Identity-based. I'm the kind of person who takes care of my body. Which one is the most powerful? Because when your habits are part of your identity, you don't have to force them. They flow naturally, because that's just who you are now. From I don't to I can't. Say you're trying to stop eating junk food. If you say, I can't eat that, it feels like a punishment, like restriction. You're losing something. But if you say, I don't eat that, that's not who I am anymore. Now it's identity. Now it's choice. Now it's empowerment. Words matter. They reflect what you believe. From behavior to identity and back. You might be thinking, but what if I don't fully believe it yet? Good question. Here's the trick. You don't need to believe 100% right away. You just need to act like the person you want to become. Again and again. Every time you meditate for 5 minutes. Say no to a cigarette. Walk instead of scroll. You're voting for your new identity. It builds over time. Neuroscience backs this up. When you repeat an action, you create neural pathways in the brain. Like carving grooves into a road. The more you act like the new version of yourself, the deeper those grooves become. Eventually, that behavior becomes automatic. Because your brain says, this is who we are now. No willpower needed. Just repetition and belief. Who do you want to become? Pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be? Not just what you want to achieve, but the kind of human being. Do you want to be someone who is calm under pressure? Someone who treats their body with love? Someone who keeps their word? Now ask, what does that version of me do each day? How does that version of me think? What habits are natural for that person? You're not chasing a goal. You're becoming someone new. Practical exercise. The identity shift. Try this simple daily habit. Step 1. Write this sentence. I am becoming the kind of person who. Then complete it. Example. Who wakes up early to care for my mind. Who doesn't need junk food to feel good. Who respects my time and energy. Step 2. Take one small action that supports that identity. Each day. No pressure. Just proof. Step 3. Repeat it. Out loud if you can. Your brain listens to your voice more than any other. Let go of the old version of you. To become someone new, you must let go of the version that holds you back. The one who makes excuses, seeks comfort over growth. Says, this is just who I am. That's not true. You are not your bad habits. You are not your past choices. You are a story in progress. You get to choose what happens next. Start by changing your story. Say it with me. I'm not trying to change. I am changing. I don't need to be perfect. I need to be consistent. Every small action is a vote for the future me. I believe in who I am becoming, because your future is listening. You're not here to punish yourself for the past. You're here to create something better, to become someone stronger, not by force, but by identity. You don't have to earn change. You just have to believe and begin. So here we are. You've walked with me through every step. You've learned not just how habits work, but how you work. And more importantly, you've learned one powerful truth. You have the power to change, not by fighting who you are, but by becoming more of who you're meant to be. You don't need to wait for a new year, or a perfect Monday, or a big life crisis. Change doesn't begin with punishment. It begins with compassion, with small steps, with one new belief. I am not my bad habits, that I am the person who can rise above them. Every time you show up, even in the smallest way, you are planting seeds for a new version of you. It may not bloom overnight, but it will, if you keep going, if you forgive the missteps, if you stay kind to yourself in the process. Because change is not a single decision. It's a lifestyle, a journey, a story you rewrite daily. So, take this with you. 1. Your habits shape your future. 2. Your identity drives your habits. 3. And your daily choices are more powerful than you think. You already have what it takes. It's not in some future version of you. It's here, right now, inside the smallest choice you'll make today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting me to walk beside you. Now it's your turn to take what you've learned and turn it into action, one small step at a time, because the life you want is not far away. It's just on the other side of the habits you choose. Until next time, stay present, stay kind, keep becoming. You're worth the journey.